Those vegan guys. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fabulous episode of Vegan Stories with myself, and it's only Lisa, the vegan.
Hello.
Self. Lisa, thank you, firstly, so much for agreeing to chat to me today.
Thanks for having me.
I really wanted to talk to you because, much like Noah Craig, who I spoke to yesterday, you are one of our favourite YouTubers. I think you've been massively inspirational on our vegan journey, particularly in the diversity of what we eat.
That's so nice.
And, well, no, it's good to know that what you do kind of has a knock-on effect to other people, isn't it? It's we love that when we get feedback, so I'm passing that along to you. You have had that effect on us, dear Lisa.
That's so cool.
The reason for starting this series was I thought it would be really, really interesting to document people's vegan journeys because we all came into it through different routes or for different reasons. And it's nice when somebody can link onto a part of your story and think, that's me, so I can do this too. So I'm just going to give you the floor to tell us how and when your vegan journey started, if you don't mind, Lisa.
Sure. I mean, it was kind of like a long, convoluted journey. I never thought I was going to be vegan. I was like one of those super carnivores where I ate meat like all the time. People associated me with eating like a lot of meat, a lot of seafood, a lot of fish, and people never expected me to go vegan. And actually, like at the beginning of my vegan journey, when I told people that I went vegan, people were like, how? So, I mean, sometimes I forget because it's been so long, but I first went vegetarian. My first stint of vegetarian was when I was 14. I don't remember exactly why. I just like didn't want to eat animals anymore. And I had just done like a big band trip to Germany and Austria, and everything was just sausages. And it was just like vegetarian in Germany. And it was surprisingly not that bad. But my mom at the time was like, I can't cook two meals. Like I can't cook a vegetarian meal and a regular omnivore meal. So she forced me back into eating meat. And when I look back anyway, especially with the beginning of my vegetarian journey, not recently, but like 9 years ago, she was cooking with like chicken broth and stuff anyway. So it wasn't really vegetarian, but it was meat free or whatever. So I went vegetarian in 2011. I had, I've talked about this a lot on my channel about how I have eczema. So I was seeing like lots of dermatologists, lots of doctors, and finally my mom took me to a Chinese doctor and they gave me this like horrible tea sludge, medicinal Chinese herbal tea. It was awful. But with that herbal tea sludge, they told me that I couldn't eat any meat with it. They said I could eat pork. They didn't say anything about pork. They said no chicken, no beef, no fish. And I was like, okay, well, I might as well just like go vegetarian then, because that's just way easier than me be like, I only eat pork. That's weird. So I was in university and I went vegetarian. And I just basically replaced everything with cheese. And obviously I didn't have a good time as someone who is Asian and mildly lactose intolerant. So I went vegetarian for 2 years, and then I was living in Ottawa and doing university at the time. And when I moved to Toronto to do my master's, every time I moved to a new city, I try to volunteer for a new place, because I find that's a really good way to like meet new people, because generally people who volunteer are like decent people. So it's worked for me so far. So I started volunteering for the Toronto Vegetarian Association in Toronto, obviously. And I don't know why I said that. And I started volunteering at the Veg Fest and their resource center. And it's basically like their office, and they have like a library, and they also have like a little bookstore. And I loved like talking to new people and introducing like new fun recipes or like different cookbooks and stuff like that to these people. And the other volunteers that I was with, they didn't require that I had to be vegan. They just said like, you just need to be vegetarian in the space, like no animal products in the space. So I was introduced to like other vegans that sort of dispelled my perceptions of what veganism was, that like you didn't have to be like an intense hippie, you didn't have to like only eat grass, like all that kind of stuff.
I mean, those things help.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, a dirt diet. Yeah, so I learned a lot about like vegan baking, how easy it was. I learned about how to navigate like finding vegan options in a restaurant, because like back then it was like 2013. Veganism was like a little bit more popular in Toronto, but it was like most people were like, what does vegan mean still? Nowadays, that's not the case, but back then it was a little bit more difficult. And I just took the leap and I went vegan, especially because I'd been posting more vegan recipes on my blog, and they were doing really well. And I was kind of like, like I actually really like these vegan recipes and I'm interested in trying more. And I was like, you know what, I might as well just like go completely vegan after learning about like how easy it was. And one of the things that like solidified how simple of like a mind shift veganism was for me was one of my co-volunteers was talking about dairy cows and how that, and he said something about how the cows are someone's, and I was like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense, because like you know, when you think of a dog, you don't think of like an it. Like the dog has a personality, they have their own wants and needs, they are a someone and they're a being. And so like, why can't individual dairy cows be someone's? Because they are. And after having met so many, especially volunteering for farm sanctuaries, you learn the different like quirks and, you know, their favorite foods, or like, you know, their favorite spots to be scratched and like that kind of stuff. And so like, I just couldn't stop seeing animals as someone's, and especially learning about dairy cows and how they create the veal industry. And I was already like against veal even when I was an omnivore. I was like, oh my gosh, like I have to go vegan. So yeah, it's been since 2013. My eczema has not healed. I learned that that is not the key to healing my eczema. It works for some, but it didn't work for me. But I'm still vegan because of the ethics and the environmental reasons as well. And that's my story. Yeah.
No, I love that. I think amongst all of the vegan stories, and there's been many so far, you're the first person to cite that specific thing, that an animal is a someone. I think that's quite a powerful thing to think and acknowledge, which of course a lot of people don't, do they? So how did were you living at home at the time or not?
No, I had moved out when I was like 17.
Right. So it's not like anyone else had to adapt to your it was just you navigating your way through a new lifestyle.
Yeah.
And how did you find it at first? Because over here in Britain, 7 years ago was far more difficult than it is now.
For sure.
Now it's much easier.
Yeah, no, it was kind of the same. I was really lucky that I lived right by a health food store in Toronto. If anyone here is watching is from Toronto, I lived at like St. Clair and Bathurst, where there is, funny enough, like most of the names in Toronto are like from England. So there's like, St. Clair, Bathurst, York Street. Anyway, so on St. Clair, there is a health food store called Evergreen, and it's run by this like Indian man, and he's just like so lovely, and like he has so many vegan options and so many vegan products, and he always brings in like new ones. And like I saw stuff there before I saw it at any of the mainstream grocery stores, and so like he introduced me to black salt. He had really cheap nutritional yeast. There was vegan kimchi all the time, and so I was like sort of introduced to all these like fun new vegan products from that health food store that eventually trickled over to the other grocery store that was like around the corner. But yeah, I don't know, it wasn't too bad, especially because my roommate liked eating vegan food, although she was also like super into meat. So there'd be times where I'd walk into the kitchen and there's just like a slab of meat on like her cast iron, and I'm like, ugh. So it was like a bit of an adjustment to like figure out how to coexist with someone who still ate that kind of stuff and like who had eggs all the time. And I was just trying to think of like how difficult it was for me to like smell eggs in my house in the morning. But eventually I moved out on my own, and my house or my condo at the time was like it was like a brand new condo, so I was the first tenant, and so there had never been any animals
Love
in
that.
the apartment, and I just like felt this like it sounds so wooey, but I felt this like energy shift in that space that it was like just like this clean, like vibrant space that never had animal products in it. That sounds so like hokey, but I just really.
I don't think it does. I don't think it does. I felt exactly. I bought a big American style fridge freezer about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was delighted that it would never have anything in it but vegan products. And it was brand new. It was a Becco, just in case anyone wants to know. Fabulous fridge freezer. So, what did you find anything kind of difficult to? Did you miss anything, like right at the start of your journey? Was there anything specific you really missed, and then I found a way to kind of sate that want with a veganized version, or?
I think the hardest thing was probably eggs for me. I used to eat a lot of eggs. And actually I was talking recently to Eddie about like all these like ex-vegans, and it's like all of them are eating like eggs and fish. And I was just thinking to myself, like, even if I went from being vegan to non-vegan, like I wouldn't want to eat fish just because like I know like I have friends who have been butchers at like seafood places, and they had to like fillet the fish and cut it, and they've told me all these horror stories about how much like worms that they have to cut out of it before they put it out on the ice for consumers, and I'm like, ugh. I just know too much now. But the thing that like, not that I'm saying I want to go not vegan anymore, but like we just really miss the simplicity of eggs. And like tofu, obviously, like there's so many different ways that you can like make egg salad, for example. Like my tofu egg salad is like one of my favorite recipes. I have an upcoming vegan yolk recipe in like an ebook collab with Okonomi Kitchen. And so, like that has been like my egg yolk sort of situation, and that's what I've been using to like dunk toast in or like drizzle over like fried tofu.
All right, I'm deeply interested in that.
Yeah, it's like a really good time. Yeah, like tofu scramble obviously has filled that sort of void for me, but I think it's just like the simplicity of eggs, and also like the not zero waste necessarily, because obviously there's a lot of like environmental impact in the chicken's life, but like the packaging of eggs is just cardboard, and then the eggs themselves are compostable. So normally like tofu that I have access to is all wrapped in plastic, which is like kind of hard. So it's like, yeah,
I get you. I do get you. And I mean, it was the same for me personally. Not necessarily my husband, Jason. He was never a big egg lover. But me, I probably ate between 7 and 10 eggs a week as a vegetarian.
Dang, that's a lot of eggs. Yeah.
But it was so convenient. There's a big thing in Britain. I don't know if you ever did this before you were a vegan, but what we call a fried egg butty, which is basically a fried egg between two slices of buttered bread.
Oh, okay.
And it's the simplest and easiest thing to do, but of course, when you've seen the videos of the chicks being minced and stuff, and you're like, oh, I see. Yeah, so that's a side effect, is it?
Yep. It's pretty messed up.
How long ago did you meet Eddie, and how was his journey, kind of as your partner into this?
I actually have a couple of videos talking about like how we met, and then also how he went vegan. Although in that video he looks
By the way, everybody, I shall link, obviously. I'll link to Lisa's channel up there. You need to go and look at her channel, seriously, if you haven't before. And like I said with Noah Craig yesterday, if you haven't before, are you even vegan? Are you even on YouTube? It's like...
That's very kind. Yeah, I met Eddie about 5 years ago. So in 2015, I had just moved to that new apartment that was free of animal products, and he lived in Hamilton, which is where I live now. But he worked like 5 minutes from my apartment, so that's like why we, I guess, connected on the apps, because it was like so location close. That wasn't English, but that's fine.
I totally understood you, stranger.
But he was also one of those people that like you never expected to be vegan. He like his his workplace was like one of those places where like all the guys would go out to lunch together and they go to this one sandwich place that has like a thick meat sandwich and like they'd like joke about who could eat the most meat and like it that kind of like humor and culture. And so when he met me, he was just kind of like, well, she's vegan. I'm not planning on being vegan, but he was like willing to try vegan food. And he was always like appreciative of food that tasted good, whether or not it was vegan. So he was always pretty open-minded. And he like moved in. It sounds so like callous or maybe like not wise that he moved in within 8 months of us dating, but he moved in within 8 months of us dating. And I tried for a while to like let him have cheese in my fridge because like cheese doesn't smell too bad, whereas like eggs, if you cook eggs, like there's like a pretty strong scent.
Yeah.
I think I tried it for like a week and I was like, no, I can't do this. I can't have cheese in my fridge. So he respected that my fridge or like our home would be vegan and that he would eat vegan at home. But he would be like, he could eat whatever he wanted outside of the house, which I was like, I can't control you. So that,
yeah.
You know, that sounds fine.
A lot of people do that. A lot of people work on that exact arrangement.
Mm-hmm. It's, yeah, it worked for a while. And then there was times where I was like too lazy to cook and I was like, okay, let's go out for food. And so we went to a Vietnamese place that had vegan options for me, but it had meat options for him. And then I remember eating and just like watching him eat his bowl of chicken pho. And I was just thinking like that chicken died because I was too lazy to cook. That's on me. And so I think like he could like read. He has this like weird ability where he knows what I'm thinking, even though like I'm not saying anything. And he's just like, what's wrong? And so I explained and he's just kind of like, from that point, he started eating vegan around me or like with me because he didn't want me to feel sad about like, if I just cooked vegan, then he wouldn't be eating meat and stuff like that. And he didn't tell me that he was going to go vegetarian or vegan, but he went vegetarian, I think about like a year and a half or 2 years after we started dating. And then he went slowly vegan about a year and a half after that. And like both times he never told me. We would just be at a restaurant together that had vegetarian or vegan options and he would just order the vegan one. And I was kind of like, oh, okay. It was especially like with his family, which is like what was surprising to me. And yeah, he's come around and he's, you know, he obviously misses a lot of things. And I think that like if we weren't together, I don't think he would have ever really made that connection. So it's really cool to see someone who never in a million years thought he would ever go vegan, who is now vegan.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Just going back to what you said at the start about he moved in within 8 months. Were you saying that as if that was a bad thing? Because Jason moved in with me 2 weeks after we met.
Wow, really?
And we've been together 23 years now.
I would love to hear more about that.
And married for 12 of those years.
Wow.
So, yeah, within 2 weeks. So, girl, 8 months, that's well safe.
Wow, like how did that happen? Did you just like meet and then you're just like, you knew?
We met at, when I say 2 weeks, I mean 2 weeks from the point we started to be a couple. We'd already known each other. We were really good friends. And then suddenly we kissed at my birthday party. And 2 weeks later he moved in. And here we are, 23 years later, still in love with a lovely YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cute. I seem to remember I kind of wish we'd have been on YouTube when we got married because, of course, we would have documented it. But I loved how much of the journey you documented. the food and everything, and your, I suppose your Instagram account is where you share much more than you do on YouTube. Some of the pictures, girl, my God, they were gorgeous, just absolutely gorgeous. It looked like the most beautiful event.
Oh, that's very kind. In reality, like the wedding itself, like I loved the location and I loved how like beautiful and planty it was. But in reality, it was like such a small wedding that like the venue seemed so big for so few people that it like, and also like, I don't know, my family was like a little weird about it, that they like complained about the food the entire time. And then Eddie's family didn't verbally complain about it, but I could tell that they snuck in like granola bars and stuff. And I was just like, there's so much food here. Like, why would you do that? But whatever. It's water.
It's the kindest way, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, people are kind of pre-programmed to feel like, well, if it hasn't got meat, it's not food. Or
Which is like so bizarre because like my mom has gone vegetarian now, and
oh wow,
yeah, she and my brother are vegetarian, and they've been vegetarian for I would say like almost 2 years now. So my
that's
family
fabulous.
yeah, it's awesome, and my family has gotten like really used to making sure that there's vegan options or vegetarian options for all of us. Before with me, they just like let me fend for myself, which kind of sucked. But every now and then they would like make like a mushroom stir fry, which was nice. But now when my mom is there, like they make sure to buy like tofu from our favorite tofu place in Mississauga. And they like prepare like an actual balanced meal with everybody, which is really nice to feel included.
Yeah, well, it's nice to kind of have that knock-on effect with your family as well, isn't it? Because both, my dad died about 8 years ago, but my mum's still alive, and Jason's mum and dad are still here, and both of them now, because we're the main shoppers. Where we live in England is still very much on lockdown at the moment. So we're the main shoppers, and we bought them a few things, and they've said like, "Oh, get me that again."
Aww.
And we're like, "What, that vegan item we bought you?" Yeah, we liked that. Buy us that again. So they're not vegan or vegetarian, but they have started, and they're all in their 70s.
That's amazing. What was it?
I know.
What did you buy?
Have you heard of Quorn fishless fillets?
Yes, we have them here, but only. Oh, I bought them in the US and then I brought them over. I smuggled them over.
Ah, yeah. So them, and then there's a very famous brand of sausage in the UK called Richmond, and it's a meat sausage. However, last year they brought out a vegan version using exactly the same spices. So all of our parents have gone on to Richmond sausages and fishless fillets, and Jason's mum and dad are having a bit of a love affair at the moment with Linda McCartney quarter pounder burgers.
Yeah,
they love them, and so do we.
That's amazing. That's so cool that you're able to be like, hey, you should try this, and they've just like come around to it. How long have you been vegan now?
Since 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, so very early 2014. Did anything impact you at the start, Lisa? Like, did you watch any documentaries or anything like that?
I watched, when I was vegetarian still, I watched Forks Over Knives and I watched Vegucated, which are both quite older. And looking back now, when I watched them again, I was rewatching them with Eddie, and I was like, ooh, these are like pretty fat phobic and like a little like they focus only on the health. And I think that trend that carries on today with like Game Changers and What the Health and that kind of stuff, I find that it like what's the word? It like hypes up the health aspects of it, and people only go vegan for health. And then when they find that they go too restrictive or they don't, consult a doctor to like make sure that they're covering all the things, if they do find that they're having some sort of deficiencies, like they just like say, oh, veganism isn't working for me. It is not the healthiest, blah, blah, blah. And then they like go on to the next like food fad or whatever. Right. So I find that documentaries can be good, but a lot of people lack the critical eye to really like either research further.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
just let those documentaries just dictate their life, which is.
It's funny you mention Vegucated, actually, because that was our turning point. Saw it twice, second time vegan from that moment on. Gave everything away, all our veggie food, and just went vegan. But it was Vegucated was the start of it for us. I think you raise an interesting point there, though, Lisa, particularly about the Game Changers documentary, because it's very kind of athletic focused. It's very sport orientated. It's all to do with athletes and sports people mainly. And yet there was a huge surge afterwards of people saying, right, if they can do it, I can do it. And it'd be interesting to know just how many of them stuck.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because the way, like, for like an optimal athlete diet, like you are focusing a lot on whole foods. And so if you're going from eating, your basic omnivore diet of like eggs in the morning and then toast, and then you have like some sort of salad with fish or whatever, and you have like, meat and potatoes for dinner. When you switch all to meatless options that are whole foods, you're eating beans, you're eating tofu, you're eating things that have a lot more fiber. And so at the beginning, you're going to be like hella bloated. And people are just like not going to be able to, or not understand that like all this gas is like normal, and your body has to like adjust its like digestive flora to like be able to digest all that fiber. So I am really curious as to like what the trend was back then, because I do notice a lot of celebrities and some athletes now that are no longer vegan.
What's the business terminology for it? Oh, the retention rate.
Oh yeah.
Let's see what the retention rate of that documentary was, shall we? How many of the boogers stayed?
The thing is, like, if you even looked at it from like a numbers aspect of it, the fact that any people went vegan at all would be considered like a net gain for vegans, because they would be not eating animals for that period of time, even if they went back to eating animals afterwards. And so like I can see how a lot of people were like, I don't care, like they need to go vegan, and like the amount of time that they do go vegan is better than nothing, which is like fine. But I feel like the damage of them going back from vegan to non-vegan is pretty damaging for the vegan movement as well, because there's all these more like these people who are adding on to the perception that veganism is deficient, when really it's the core of they're not properly supplementing, or they didn't seek a doctor, or they're restrictive with their diet, or they're just like whatever, all that kind of stuff.
Can we say Miley Cyrus?
Yeah, it's so disappointing, because like she wrote a song about how she went vegan because of her fish, and now she eats fish and eggs, and that's like...
Oh, but Lisa, credit where it's due. She cried when she ate the fish.
That is...
I know. It's just like, why, Miley? Couldn't you have bought some chia seeds? Some algae?
It's just frustrating, and like I get being frustrated, and I get like how she's probably dealing with a lot of other stuff, especially with the nature of all that kind of stuff. And I definitely don't want to like bash her, or I don't want anyone, like I've seen some of the comments that people have been leaving here how she's like horrible and she's a hypocrite and blah blah blah, which is like it just really sucks to like
I mean, I think people, nobody has a right to hate anybody.
Correct.
But I think we have a right to be disappointed that somebody is muddying the water.
For sure.
And they didn't have to get mud on their hands.
I agree. Yeah.
That was a crap analogy, but I enjoyed it. I'm going with that. I've got some random questions for you, Lisa.
Sure.
If you don't mind. What's one of your favourite meals as a vegan?
My favorite meals.
You've got an incredibly diverse diet, though, haven't you? I mean,
I never eat the same thing over and over.
I watch a lot of your food vlogs, and it's like you and Cheap Lazy Vegan and Noah Craig and Hench Herbivore and Cynnet Nutrition, all of you have impacted what we eat now more diverse than we've ever eaten, but some incredible meals.
No, I totally.
So I know it's a tough question.
I think maybe just like lately we've been eating a lot of burrito bowls or like rice bowls with like beans and all that kind of stuff. One of Eddie's like favorite cuisines tends to be like Mexican cuisine, so he loves that kind of stuff. And like ever since I got the Instant Pot, beans have just been like a whole nother level. This is like creamiest, tastiest, butteriest beans I've ever made. I'm
so excited.
Did you get one? Yes! It's such a good time.
It's still in its box for now because I'm still playing with my air fryer, which I'm in love with. Totally in love with the air fryer. Use it more than the oven these days. But this little baby I'm very excited about. Do you have any specific Instant Pot videos on your channel?
I have a baked beans one where I make the beans first in the Instant Pot and then I bake it with like a vegetable puree situation that looks like traditional baked beans but is less like silky but is more like vegetable puree, if that makes any sense. I feel like people here in Canada, like some people like get breakfast beans, but like they don't love breakfast beans as much as like I do. And my old boss, she lived in England for 10 years and she's like, oh no, I love beans. And so she was like one of the only people that like understood my love for like baked beans.
Oh, baked beans are amazing. I mean, they are a kind of British standard tinned Heinz baked beans.
Yeah.
On toast are just amazing. Buttered toast though, not dry.
No, especially butter toast. That's key. That's important because you got to have that like buttery, salty, like silkiness.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know if you know, but in Canada, baked beans traditionally are way sweeter than the British ones. So Heinz has imported, depending on like where you live in Canada, if there is like a high population of like British folks, you can see like the British beans and the traditional baked beans, and if you tried them side by side, oh my god, it's like so sweet. It's like an extra like 2 tablespoons of sugar at least in the regular one, or in the like Canadian one, and then the British one obviously is like regular tomato beans, which is like savory, good time, a little sweet but not like crazy sweet, you know what I mean?
I saw there's a couple of guys I watch in Japan. Have you ever heard of Tabby Eats?
I don't think so.
They're not vegans, but they're a cute gay Japanese couple, and so I enjoy kind of watching them. And they get sent a lot of gift boxes from all over the world, and they had one from subscribers in Canada not too long back, and it was maple syrup beans.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
But it was when they opened them, it was actual maple syrup in there, and I was like, does that work?
I mean, I can get it as like a sweet, because like normally with baked beans you would use brown sugar, right? So instead of brown sugar you'd use maple, and it adds like a maple smoky deliciousness. But I find most of the kinds that I've ever tried are just way too sweet, and maybe I'm just like I just can't handle that sweetness.
So, plans moving forward, Lisa? Do you intend to keep your fabulous channel going and bring us lots more recipes and fun kind of shopping hauls and stuff?
Of course. I've had to take a bit of like a forced break recently with some stuff happening in my life. And also my hands just eczema-wise just kind of struck.
Nice.
That he ate growing up, and he really wants to like veganize them. So it's pretty exciting.
Love the idea of that. It's great to get our husbands on our vlogs, isn't it? It's we did a couple not too long ago of live cook along videos. We did brownie, and then we did cookies, and I had to just sit and supervise, which kills me
Yep,
It
I feel
kills
that.
me because the kitchen is my domain, and I'm like, occasionally I let Jason make baked potatoes, but the rest of the time I'm like, get back! This is my room.
I feel that very hard. It's actually been something that I've been working on because Eddie's mom didn't really let him in the kitchen ever, and so he doesn't really have any of like basic kitchen skills. Like, well, now he does, but like when we first met, he like didn't really know how to like cook at all. I mean, he cooked like eggs and he cooked like baked chicken stuff, but like that was like the majority of his cooking. But now he like knows how to chop an onion and like can mix up curry and all that kind of stuff. So he's come a long way.
Cool. I'm sure that Jason, if I wasn't so kind of territorial, he might be interested in doing a few more things in the kitchen. But I love it, me. I love to cook. I love to create. I love to muck around with vegan food, and in particular, I don't know if you're aware or not, but we wrote no, I think I mentioned it to you because you're in it, as in your links in it. We wrote a free ebook not too long ago.
I did see that.
And the most of the recipes that I've done in there are kind of British classic evening meals that we've just veganized. It's because those are the kind of meals that get people thinking like, well, I can still have this and it tastes almost as good.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's an ebook is like so much work. I don't know how you did it because like I've been struggling to like do my own ebook and I just like have given up multiple times. It's just a lot.
I think it was because I went in with the intent that I wanted it to be a guide, I wanted it to be really helpful, and I wanted it to be free. I mean, there's a donate link on page 1. I'm not stupid. Kind of plea into people's kindness, but it took all the pressure off it for me because it was like, right, I'm just going to put this out into the world as a helpful thing. Here, you can have it if you want. It might help you, it might not. And if it does, you might consider a £2 PayPal donate. But it took a lot of the pressure off. However, at some point in the future, I'd like to do a proper recipe book, and that won't be a free thing. So I know the pressure will be on a whole other level. Right, random hot fire questions, Lisa. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
What's your favourite place to shop?
Any Asian grocery store.
Yeah. We have one over here called Wing Yip.
Okay.
Which is it's called Wing Yip Chinese Supermarket, but it's got Indonesian, Korean, Vietnamese. It's got everything. It's bloody amazing. It's amazing. We've done loads of shopping vlogs there, loads and loads. The staff are incredible. I don't know if you've ever heard of there's a vegetarian and vegan Asian food company, mainly frozen, called TKC.
I think that a lot of the vegan, vegetarian mock meats that we get here are like from like the same Chinese company that like imports it to Canada and then repackages it here. I feel like it's like the same. So I feel like a lot of the products that you get are probably the same ones that we get here.
Some really bloody good stuff though, isn't there?
Yeah.
Have you ever had the breaded drumsticks with a bamboo bone?
Yes. The ones that I have aren't breaded, but they are like a bamboo bone with like a seitan-y, tofu-y, soy, stringy thing. Man, Asian mock meats are like a whole nother level. It's just like the OGs. Yeah. It's a good time.
Do you get satay sticks over there?
We do, and it is delicious. Although I have them with either like the seitan sort of blocks or like the fried gluten blocks, but my favorite satay is usually tempeh satay. It's so good.
I've got 5 blocks of tempeh in my freezer right now.
Oh, nice.
It's merely £2 for a big 300-gram block.
Wow.
From Wing Yip. And the tofu there is 600 grams. I know there's a difference in currency with us, but believe me when I say it's very cheap. £1.30 for 600 grams.
Wow,
Of
that's actually
tofu.
so cheap.
I
Normally
know
we pay $2 to $3 for like 300 or 400 grams of tofu, but like in like the plastic containers. Wow,
and
that's so cheap.
That's what we would do in one of the kind of general supermarkets around here, but in Wingate, dirt cheap, and it's some of the best stuff you can buy as well.
It's so good.
It is. It's amazing. If you had to recommend, like if somebody came to you and said, Lisa, in fact, let's pretend,
Okay.
Lisa,
Yes.
I'm thinking about going vegan.
Okay.
Is there anything you think I should watch?
Like documentary wise?
Well, that's an
or
open
like
question.
okay. Ooh, I don't know.
Put you on the spot there.
Yeah,
I did it
a little
on
bit.
purpose. I'm very rude.
How dare you? I'm very bad at improv. I would say, like, I don't know. I kind of wish Forks Over Knives and Vegucated had more recent ones, especially with more of like a intersectional approach as well. So like,
Yeah.
highlighting like marginalized barriers for going vegan, highlighting like, body neutrality, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I would say Forks Over Knives and or Vegucated just because those were what changed me. I wouldn't really recommend What the Health. Game Changers also sort of like vilifies a lot of foods, so I don't know about that either. I would definitely recommend that you, maybe it's not watching per se because it's not always video content, but follow vegan dietitians like Dr. Pamela RD. She's like one of my favorite people in the world. She is so, so, so kind. She has a PhD in nutrition. She is a registered dietitian. She has adopted 4 amazing kids who are indigenous, and she has moved closer to like their people, which is like amazing. So like, they can be connected with their culture as well as like, still be her kids.
What's she called again? Sorry, Lisa.
Dr. Pamela RD. Pamela Ferguson. I can send you the link afterwards. I've done a couple videos with her about supplementation and about like protein. So yeah, I just like really enjoy her content. And she's just a very kind person.
Are they on your channel or her channel?
Those videos are on my channel.
I'll check that out.
I don't think she has a YouTube channel anymore per se. Most of her stuff is on Instagram now, but she takes clients virtually. So if there's any people who ever want clients, I feel like I'm just like an ad for her. But I seriously, I just like love her. And she does have a pay what you can model now because she believes that like health care is like it should be accessible to anyone who needs it. So
amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. Another random question. Again, sure. I'm about to put you on the spot. So start thinking now about your favourite vegan YouTubers. Can you name 3 of your personal favourite vegan YouTubers so that if anyone who watches this video today hasn't seen them, they can look for them?
Okay. Well, one of my favorites, just because it's like her stuff is so beautiful, Malin from Good Eatings. She is Swedish, and her videos are filmed by her partner Rob, and she's just like such a calm, beautiful person, and she just makes such like beautiful food that I could never make because I am way too chaotic, and I would just like spill everything everywhere, and like it's like so beautiful, and she's just so chill. Her videos are always making me like her videos always make me very like happy. Let me just open my YouTube subscriptions because I like can't think of any right now. I'm blanking.
I'm going to ask you one more random question while you're looking there, just to completely confuse your mind.
Oh,
that's
good.
A gaming chair you're on, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet potato soul. I really like her stuff too.
Yes.
Also very calming, very chill. She's like so like intentional and like all of her stuff is so beautiful. But yeah, again, it's another channel that I can like. I can never have that like beautiful, effortless sort of vibe because I'm just like too chaotic. I have dribbles on my shirts all the time. Like it's just, I can't. I'm not that kind of content creator.
Yeah, you're in the genre of extremely real YouTubers.
Extreme.
Nothing contrived, just fabulous Lisa in her kitchen, creating stuff, spilling stuff. Very much what I do in this kitchen, really. It's none of that take two bullshit. It's just like this is it.
That's just like a lot of effort for me. I can't handle that. I cook what I cook and I look the way that I look.
I think you're fabulous in every way, shape, or form, and I do absolutely adore. I'm not saying you should all the time, because I think you're beautiful without. But I love when you wear makeup as a drag queen. When on the odd occasion because I always admire makeup that doesn't look like much makeup, but still accentuates everything. And you've got such a fabulous routine with that kind of when you do that. It's a bit like a dark bronzy colour eyeshadow you do, and the dark eyeliner, and I'm like, girl, you got this.
My only look is the vampire look. I can only do that one sort of look. I do quite enjoy it.
We have chatted. I could continue to chat to you for a long time, Lisa, but as we have discovered on YouTube, people say, oh, it's too long, that too long, that video. Yeah, I didn't watch it all.
I get it all the time.
Bugger them all, I say. So we shall bring this lovely little chat to a close, but do you have any closing statements other than urging people to go and watch your channel, which they should absolutely do, and if they don't, I'll get them?
Start bringing your own cutlery to restaurants, or like if you're getting takeout, bring your own mug. Although a lot of places aren't letting you bring your own like coffee mug anymore, so I just recommend making your own stuff at home. Try to reduce the amount of plastic, because just because it's vegan doesn't mean it is zero waste or plastic free. There is a lot of vegan foods that are delicious, and I eat them all the time, that are packaged in plastic. So do what you can to sort of change or reduce the amount of plastic consumption in your life.
That's a fantastic message to end with. The lovely Lisa, the fabulous Fiat Vegan, thank you so much for having a chat with me today. And we shall end it there and say to you lot, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again very soon. And until then, please be excellent to yourselves and each other.